Hello, I am here. Just rescuing my tea. Right. For once, it's 3 and I'm streaming at 3. This is unusual. I think the thing is that what I need is a wrist alerty alarm for 3 at the weekends. Because I have my 8 o'clock alarm at the on weekdays. Well, I have that every day to be fair. So it reminds me to take my tablets, but also that's when I start my stream. But it would be nice to have a 3 o'clock alarm for the weekends so that I don't keep forgetting to start on time. But it's okay because I'm here today. So we're having a weird double bill today because I was like, I need to do a little bit of this and I want to do a little bit of something else. And there are too many games and not enough days, basically. So, because Warboats is dictating my streams this week, I am going to do an hour of Sable's Grimoire because it has been stuck in my promo queue for the longest time. Like, seriously, this game came out in June 2021. It's been over a year that I've had it in my queue, and that is unacceptable. So we'll do an hour just to clear it out the queue, and then I can just buzz through it on my own. And then we are going to do a couple of hours of Omno. Hi, Leaky. I don't know why it's called the double bill, something to do with theatre. Yeah, so then we're going to do a couple of hours of Omno, because that was requested to be streamed again after doing it as a promo, and I haven't gone back to it. And I need to get to the next level, so we're doing Omno. Which is why it's a weird ass double bill, because why not? So yeah, so first of all, let's do Sable's Grimoire, which came out, as I said, on the 10th of June 2021. It was developed by Zetsubo Games and published by Gamazumi. So not one that I would expect to see anywhere particularly. But thank you very much to ID at Xbox for giving me a copy to stream. Apologies that it's taken so long. So it is a visual novel. It is £14.99 or $14.99 because yes, those are the same prices. It has been on sale for 50% off, but not currently. February it was on sale. So when Sable is accepted into Andronia Magic Academy, he believes that his dream of becoming a world-renowned magic researcher is finally within his grasp. Unfortunately for Sable, his first day at Andronia quickly proves to him that this will not be the case. We play as Sable, an aspiring magic researcher, as he gets sucked into the daily lives and troubles of his demi-human classmates. Will he manage to survive this clearly dysfunctional academy? So apparently there are 5 different routes, 16 different endings, and 400,000 words, of which we will not be doing all of these because we're doing an hour. Hi, Dan. Yes, I saw that you needed to do Brutal Legend for your Warboats, so I was having a nosy. So good luck with that, and thanks for the host. So we have played a little... Well, I say played. We have blitzed through a couple of achievements back in December because that was when I was trying to get my milestone thing. We've not done all of them. We are saving one of them specifically for my 777777 milestone because it is my name. So that amuses me because 7's my number and Joanna's my name. I know I'm Joe, but technically Joanna's my name. So we are going to do an hour and then switch games. And then basically I'm just gonna blitz through and unlock the ones I need for the competition. If it's really grabbing us, then I guess I could put it back in the queue. But we know what happens to games that go back in the queue. They get stuck in game purgatory. And I really need to clear out my queue a little bit because there's new games coming out and I'm hampered by having old games in the queue. At some point I need to clear out my 7-month-old request from Dan for more Superliminal, which we will try and do at some point. But for now, we are going to do a little bit of dragon magic in Sable's Grimoire. So, hello everyone, it's Saturday. The weekend crept up on me. I don't know how it happened. Gazumi! Oh, it's a cute little mouse! Look at the little cute mouse! Oh, Brutal Legend has, like... Right. So, I need to make sure I do the options so we don't accidentally... And so we have some volume. So the text speed's not ridiculously fast, because this is my... Yes, I'm going... Bad ending hints enabled. Stop skipping. Scene. Right, enable mature content because I think that stops me getting some achievements otherwise. But, you know, we have some volume. Okay, so I'm going to start a new game. Right, and my TV needs some volume so I can actually hear what you're hearing. Ah, no! Oh, God. Back. Thank you. Please don't auto. This is the problem when you forget and leave it on your... Oh, that's majestic music, that is. Okay, oh, and we'll turn the gain up so that it matches what it's supposed to be. Right. Hopefully music's not too loud. But yeah, no, Brutal Legend's supposed to be a really good game. But going back to games and figuring out controls, that is always the problem. Especially if you're playing one that goes... that you don't want to, like, use hints, and you accidentally hit the hint button because you can't remember the controls. So walkthroughs that do not provide the controls, games that do not provide the controls in some sort of settings thing, make me very sad. But hopefully this one will be I think it's a straightforward visual novel with choices that affect the outcome of the world. Let's give it an hour, because I've been talking, so we'll put the hour timer on. And then after this, we will switch to playing with pseudo-dinosaurs and magical creatures or ancient creatures in Omno. So yes, Andronia Academy, the alma mater of many of the greatest magi in the world. A place of learning and discovery, a home to those who have powers beyond their understanding, a refuge for races oppressed by humanity. Notorious though it may be, Andronia Academy is a place where my kind can feel at ease. It's where we magic users can band together and learn about our mysterious powers without fearing prejudice and backlash from the envious and scornful. Sounds dramatic, doesn't it? It is a place open to all races, all ages, all nationalities. Anyone who wields magic power, great or small, may become a student here. And for the next 3 to 6 years, I will be living among them. That's a really specifically odd long time span. As a mere human being, it is quite possible that I will not fit in here. Magic academies such as this are typically filled to the brim with demi-human races, many of which are gifted in the arcane arts. Compared to them, human beings are powerless. So few of us are capable of using magic to begin with, and even for those of us who can, we cannot measure up to elite demi-humans. Nonetheless, I plan to turn many heads during my time at Amadronia. Natural ability is not everything. What I lack in raw power, I more than make up for in technique, understanding, and creativity. Mark my words, by the time I leave this academy, everyone will know the name Sable Libya. Okay. I breathe a deep sigh as the fatigue leaves my body. Closing my eyes, I stretch out my back and neck, which have grown stiff during my lengthy wait. Patiently, painstakingly, I have sat idly for the past hour or so, struggling to stay awake as I wait for my train. Ooh, I know that pain. Sheesh, I'm starting to feel like I'll never reach the academy. My train was supposed to be half an hour ago. What's the hold-up? I glance up at the physical data terminal overhead as I silently complain, otherwise known as the departure board. Its display, which is supposed to update in real time the moment anything changes, makes no mention of any delays or changes in schedule. Your favourite achievement description is now unavailable. As in, the achievement is unobtainable? Or they changed it? As far as I can tell, my train should have already come and gone. There are no delays mentioned, and I'm definitely on the right train line. I'm not heading in the wrong direction either. On the other hand, I haven't seen anyone else wearing the academy uniform around here. Is it a coincidence? Is there some obvious explanation that's eluding me? Oh no! Do you have the DLC so that you can still get the achievement? Also, you do have to share now what this is. Perhaps I'd better look a little deeper. I walk away from the other people on the platform, intentionally isolating myself. Once I'm far enough away that I can move around without bumping into anyone, I thrust my right hand out and turn my palm upwards. Oh, that's awesome! You have your own achievement. Yeah, so this game has the one that I'm leaving. This one is called Joanne. This is I'm going to use this achievement to reach 777,777 gamer score. Because why not pick one that has my name? Of course, most of the other ones I needed Warboats ones, of which I don't want to unlock too many of the wrong ones because, well, I'm not going to win this round. My opponent's already finished. And I've located 3 boats. Sunk 1. So I am slightly behind. But yes, as you can see, I got a few back in December. Then I got stuck, because I was going to just finish this. I'm glad I didn't. But I got stuck and couldn't get the Dark Elf, but it was because apparently you have to have mature content turned on to get to that. Otherwise it doesn't show the option. So, yeah. I got a bit stuck, but thankfully someone was very helpful in a forum post. But yes, so I have 763,594, which I'll have to basically do figure out some maths to figure out more exactly close to the time. I was aiming for getting my milestone on Extra Life, but considering it's August and that's November, and I need like 10k or 14k, I feel like I'm going to do it well before then. So we'll do a special stream. To celebrate the milestone, I think. But anyway, we are doing magic. Terminal. Possibly the most well-known and widely used spell in the world. Welcome back, Sable. How may I help you today? Despite being considered a spell of advanced difficulty, Terminal is, for many, the first spell they learn, or at least the first spell they master. And it's no wonder why. Who wouldn't want a gateway to their own minds? Not to mention the minds of others always at their fingertips. Oh my gosh, this would be incredibly useful. Terminal is the weightless translucent ethereal equivalent of a personal computer. The data is all stored inside of one's own mind, and by connecting to the minds of others, terminals allow people to communicate and to share information. As the number of people capable of using terminal expands, so does the vast pool of information at our disposal. It has become an invaluable tool, particularly for students, and as a result, the spell has naturally grown more and more popular. Now then, let's see here. Train timetable. Timetable, central line, search criteria, source, Orwell Station, destination, and Amadronia Academy. Arrive before 9 AM. Best match. 7:30 AM, Central Station to Amadronia City, swap trains at North Shore. Oh, no worries. Tapping the air just before the floating screen in front of me, I search my own mind for the train timetable I viewed before leaving home. That's weird. I definitely didn't mix up the time or the train line. So where the heck is... Whoa, is that a terminal? I dispel my terminal and turn my head as a surprised shout reaches my ears. Hey, that was a terminal, right? Wasn't that a terminal? Yeah, that's right. Are you... Show it to me! No, but I already... Show me! I unconsciously take a step back as the energetic girl in front of me pushes forward. Seeing her enthusiasm in full force, I breathe a sigh of resignation and raise my hands. Fine, take a step back. Nodding happily, the girl does as I say. Ha, so be it. It really is a terminal, a real-life terminal in the flesh. No, terminals aren't alive, nor do they have flesh. It's just a projection of... Hey, does this thing have any games on it? Can you access the internet through this thing? Hey, stop that. My terminal disappears as the girl in front of me pushes a hand through it. It's gone. I didn't break it, did I? What kind of idiot? I stop myself mid-sentence. As foolish as the girl before me seems, I know that I shouldn't look down on her. There's nothing shameful about not knowing how a spell works. I can't call her an idiot for being unfamiliar with the workings of something considered to be an advanced technique. Thinking that way, I sigh once more and then raise my head and look her in the eye. It isn't broken. It's fine. It isn't broken. You just disrupted the spell, that's all. I did something like that? That's right. Terminal is a useful spell, but the screen it creates is very fragile. That's why I stopped short of ever actually touching the screen. Touch. I separate from the girl and raise my hand once more, calling forth my terminal. With the screen in front of me, I use my other hand to interact with the untouchable device, sending random commands to the screen as I demonstrate how a terminal is used. You're right! You didn't touch it, but it still reacted to your movement. You've got it. Terminals may be useful, but they're easily dispelled, so although you don't have to worry about breaking them, it's difficult to maintain one for long. I see, so that's what terminals are like, huh? Amazing! Joyful smile creeps onto the girl's face as she stares into my eyes. Thank you. That was a very enlightening experience. I look forward to learning more from you in the future, Senpai. Suddenly acting reserved and courteous, the girl lightly bows her head. Don't worry about it. I become rather single-minded too when I see something outside of my understanding, so I totally... Wait a minute. Senpai? No idea how glad I am that you're here, Senpai, and not just because I finally got to see a terminal up close for the first time. Before I saw you here, I thought I got on the wrong platform, but if you're here, then this train must be going to Amadronia Academy, after all. I raise an eyebrow as I try to piece together the words of the peculiar girl in front of me. While it's true that I'm headed to the academy, and I've just become a student there, I'm definitely no older than this girl. Furthermore, today will be my first day at Amadronia Academy. It's far too early for anyone to be calling me their senior. Hey, Senpai, listen, I've got a question. I ruffle my hair with my hand as I shake my head. Without asking what she wants, I voice my own thoughts instead. Stop calling me that, would you? I'm not your senior in any sense of the word. Aside from knowledge pertaining to magic, apparently. Besides, why is Senpai anyway? You don't look Japanese to me. Senpai, don't be rude. There are just some things you shouldn't say to a person. Even if you doubt someone's background, you aren't allowed to call them out on it. Oh, whatever. I don't agree with that at all, but I'm not about to get into an argument over this. Giving up without a fight, I shrug and move the conversation along. Fine. Let's say you are Japanese. I am Japanese, 1/4 to be exact. Like it matters. Even if that is the case, that isn't the only problem here. I mean, aren't we the same age? And this is the first time we've met, right? So why are you calling me that? Oh, I see. You don't want me to call you senpai. Huh? Well, I don't really care. It's just a bit misleading and... No, I understand. I understand completely. Gosh, how could I have been so rude? I was so captivated that I forgot to even introduce myself, let alone ask for your name. Completely misunderstanding my concern, the girl in front of me smiles brightly. My name is Rai Mikawa. I'm apologies butchering that name. This is what happens when I have to read out names that people haven't said to me first. If you introduce me to your name, I want to get it right, but just seeing it written down is not good. Brain no translating. Even with, like, names that I should be familiar with, like common English ones. So there we go. I would always prefer for people to say their name first without me seeing it or anything so that I can get it right in my head. But anyway, starting today, I'm a student at Amdronia Academy. Let's see. My hobbies include cooking and eating and food preparation and... Your name is plenty. Save the full introduction when we get to class. And just how much do you like food anyway? I stare at Rai's stomach and then rub my eyes over the rest of her body. Creep! At a glance, it would seem like that she's the type who eats a lot yet never puts on weight. Well, senpai, aren't you going to introduce yourself? Or could it be that you want me to call you senpai after all? Oh, right, my apologies. Of course, I sit down and start yawning. Sorry, guys. I straighten up my back and put on a smile. My name is Sable. Like you, today will be my first day at Amdronia Academy. Huh? Rai suddenly screams loudly in shock, drawing curious glances from all around us. You're only just now entering the academy and you can already use advanced magic? Are you an elf or something? No, I'm human. I just practice and study a lot, that's all. Not that I could blame Rai for thinking otherwise. I might not be a powerful mage, but by human standards I'm actually pretty high up there. Many demi-human races such as elves and pixies are known for being gifted at magic. Their weakest and most feeble-minded kin are far more talented than even the greatest of human mages, to the point where the comparison is just downright embarrassing. And yet, despite the significant gap between us, many of these exceptional races are also similar to human beings, at least in terms of appearance. Elves, for example, are often mistaken for human beings, and human mages are in turn mistaken for elves. I am a cult leader. I lead in yawns. I don't know. I'm just obviously relaxed. Right, start again. It is a common misunderstanding, and even though I personally don't take offence to being called an elf, there are many who feel quite differently. Perhaps I should strive to become a tad more observant from now on myself. From what I understand, Amdronia Academy is packed full of different kinds of demi-humans. I'd hate to cause a ruckus by accidentally offending them or misunderstanding their intentions. Oh, you're a human and yet you've already learned an advanced spell like Terminal? That's amazing! I stop zoning out and focus on Rai once more, only to find her staring at me with eyes filled with wonder and excitement. Or wonderment. You look like you're my age, but we're on totally different levels. You must be a prodigy or something. No, I wouldn't go that far. Like I said, I just study and practice a lot. It took me a long time to get to this level. Amdronia Academy's only strict requirement for entry is that a person has awakened as a mage. As such, it's not unusual for people of differing levels to be in the same grade. I am an influencer! I influence you to yawn. Yes. I am an influencer. Yawn. I am also a silly. The Academy doesn't appear to discriminate based on age, race, or natural ability either. So in some cases, elves who are hundreds of years old may study side by side with teenage humans like myself. It's a system which has come under fire often over the years, but despite the repeated criticisms, this old system still remains in place. Okay, Jesus, this is annoying. You're not tired, you're not starved of oxygen, so stop yawning. Wait a minute. How did you learn an advanced spell like Terminal without attending a magic academy? Did you have a tutor or something? No, nothing like that. I just didn't have anything better to do, so I devoted my free time to studying. Well, there's also the fact that I'm pretty obsessive. When I find something interesting, I can't bring myself to turn away. I know what you mean. Like when you see a kitty cat roaming around in the middle of the street, you wonder, does this cat have a home, or is it a stray? So you spend the rest of the day following it around. I just go and wave at it and wonder whether it's stray and has fleas and whether I should try and pet it. I think your obsession is a little bit different than mine. Anyway, you're starting at Andromeda Academy too, right? That's right. Starting today, I'm going to become a world-class cleric. Cleric? You're specialising already? Although every mage is forced to learn the basics, we are inevitably given choices to make, regarding what we want to study. After a person's first 3 years at the academy, this comes to a climax, and we're told to choose a specific field of study. By our 6th year, we're expected to be ready to enter the workforce in that field. It would seem that without having attended a single class, Rai has already decided that she wants to become a cleric, a healer who can save people even on the brink of death. I mean, that sounds like a really worthy goal. It's a noble profession, but not one which many people aspire towards. Why? I sure am. Why waste time dabbling when you already know what you want to do? Besides, I'll have you know that I'm quite the expert when it comes to healing magic. Oh, that's rather surprising. There aren't many people our age who can use spiritual magic effectively. Do you come from a family of healers? That's right. All the women in my family have been priestesses and nurses for generations. I'm the first one to use actual magic, though. I stare in disbelief at Ray. You know what? I'm going to call her Ray rather than Rai, because Ray just makes me think of Ray Ray. R-Ray. I stare in disbelief at Ray, the wannabe cleric, who apparently doesn't understand the difference between healing magic and medicine. Coming from a family of nurses isn't really the same as being born into a lineage of spiritual magic practitioners. Ow! Does Ray not understand why this distinction is important, or is she doing this on purpose just to mess with me? Shaking my head, I once again gaze towards the physical data terminal hanging overhead. Seeing me stare at the device, Ray follows my line of sight. This isn't here. If I were alone, I probably would have asked someone if I was in the right place by now. Yeah, me too. I would have been panicking, 5 minutes before the train arrived if it wasn't on the board. So I'm beginning to think that we should do that anyway. The timetable I looked up said the train should have been here long ago. There haven't been any delays mentioned, so... I stopped mid-sentence as I noticed that Ray's figure has disappeared from my side. When I locate Ray, I find her talking to a middle-aged man, seemingly asking about the train timetable. Ray then speaks to a few more people, and after gathering enough information to satisfy herself, she faces me once more. I'm back! Did you miss me? You were gone for less than a minute. Oh, no need to be shy. Just be honest and say you missed me. So what did you find out? Are we in the right place? Totally miss me. Not letting up. Ray continues to smirk proudly. I sigh and place my hand on my face, at which point Ray starts to move along. Just a few people, and they all said the train will be here shortly. Apparently most people heading to the academy get off at the platform before this one, since express trains skip this platform. What did you just say? My ears open wide as Ray's words register in my mind. I am on the correct train line, I did get the right time, I am heading in the right direction, but I transferred at the wrong station. For crying out loud, how could I make such a stupid mistake? I knew I shouldn't have distracted myself by studying on the ride over here. Don't worry, we have plenty of time before the opening ceremony. Even if this train takes longer, we'll still reach the academy with time to spare. The opening ceremony isn't the problem here. This is your first day too, right? I don't know about you, but I was planning on buying some spare uniforms and taking a look around campus. If we wait until after the ceremony, the place is going to be packed, and it'll be hard to get anywhere without bumping into anyone or getting pushed along. I don't understand. Have you never been to Andromeda Academy before? You should have already visited during last month's orientation seminar, right? There was an orientation seminar? Uh-huh. I received my letter 1 week before the seminar, didn't you? Andromeda Academy still sends out physical letters? What the hell is wrong with them? They're a prestigious magic academy, for crying out loud, and I already waved for my terminal ID when I enrolled. It's for them to send the notification to my terminal. That's how they notified me of my placement. Is it so hard to do the same for matters such as this? Inwardly venting my anger, I feel myself becoming rapidly disillusioned. I never gave Madronia Academy a mailing address since it wasn't listed as a mandatory field on the application. For that same reason, I assumed they'd send the relevant information directly to my terminal like they have until now. If important information is going to be sent that way, why didn't they make mailing address a requirement? Yeah, I'd be pissed off too. Sable, are you okay? Oh, sorry, I was just lamenting. Anyway, I guess it's not a big deal. If everyone else has already seen the campus, then I might be able to wander around freely after all. Do you want me to show you around? I've only been there once before, but I still should know the layout of the campus better than you do. I wouldn't be so sure about that. I summoned forth my terminal once more, bringing up a map of the campus. That look like game screens. Yes, because the sick bay is some place we plan to spend lots of time. Whoa, is that the academy? Sure is. Most second-year students know how to use terminals, so it's not surprising that you can get detailed maps of the academy with ease. So long as I have this, I can view every corner of the academy and immediately discern the location of whichever classroom I desire. So don't worry about me. Armed with my trusty terminal, Hey! Ray once again puts her hand through my terminal, causing it to disappear. Why did you do that? If your terminal is so great, why don't you ask it instead? Huh? Pouting unhappily, Ray walks towards the edge of the platform. Before I can address her once again, I realise that our train is finally pulling onto the platform. Ray then enters the carriage ahead of me, putting our conversation on hold, as I weave through the crowd of other passengers and board the train at last. As the train pulls into the station outside of Andromeda Academy, I am finally greeted by a sight I have only ever seen in pictures and recordings. Andromeda Academy, not a projection, not a photograph, but the real deal. The moment I depart from the carriage, I understand why Andromeda Academy was built in this rather inconvenient location. High quality ether, a requirement for any mage serious about furthering their art, is absorbed into my body through my skin. It's a difficult feeling to describe, but for a mage there is nothing greater. Just as muddy rainwater is incomparable to clean drinking water, so too is the ether surrounding this academy leagues ahead of that found in the city. Compared to the town in which I grew up, this is undoubtedly a location far better suited to the nurturing of a young mage's growth. For all the projections and immersive sensescapes I've experienced, none of them even come close to the real thing. There's no way that Amazonia Academy was built here by chance. Purity and density of the ether here is unbelievable. Even a new student like me can appreciate that fact. If it's here, in a place filled with such high quality ether, and so far away from the judgment of ordinary human beings, I have no doubt that I will be able to perform feats I thought impossible back home. Walking a few steps in front of Ray, I enter the academy. Even though there are other people scattered about, for the most part, Ray and I are undisturbed. It seems that existing students are in class, as are their teachers. The only people wandering around aimlessly right now are new students, many of whom are feeling whimsical and showing bright smiles as they enjoy the ambience. I feel so good to be back here. I'd almost forgotten how mystical this place felt. I refrained from uttering the word ether and lecturing Ray on the reason for that mystical feeling. Instead, I simply nod my head. You're right, this may be my first time here in the flesh, but the feeling that Andromeda Academy gives off definitely lives up to the hype. Ray stretches her back and inhales deeply, like one would when lapping up the fresh air of the countryside. Ether is absorbed through the skin, and is not something we inhale, so her actions don't actually accomplish anything. Nevertheless, judging by the pleased expression on her face, the placebo effect may be enough for Ray. So where to first? We still have half an hour or so before the opening ceremony. You going to your dorm room first, or are you going to socialise? I was thinking I'd just go straight to the auditorium so I wouldn't get lost and be late. But before that, I'm going to visit the cafeteria. Cafeteria, but didn't you just... Before I can remind Ray that she was eating snacks the entire train ride here, I remember her list of hobbies. Sorry, the music is cool. As it turns out, she wasn't kidding. Ray is, despite her appearance, a glutton. Well, have fun. I'm going to take a look around. Okay, see you later. Oh, one more thing before you go. Ray straightens her back and faces me with a smile on her face. I hope we get placed in the same class, Sable. Ray skips off happily with a slight tinge of red on her cheeks. As she quickly disappears from my sight, I don't have the heart to tell Ray that our class listings have already been posted, or that we're in separate classes. Without bothering to summon my terminal, I walk around the courtyard outside, heading nowhere in particular. At this point in time, most of the new students inside either unpacking their belongings or getting changed before the opening ceremony. As someone who wore their uniform on the train ride over and sent their luggage to the academy ahead of time, I feel no obligation to do the same. For now, my only duty is to familiarise myself with the campus before the opening ceremony begins. It may seem a bit unsociable of me to avoid everyone like this, but I guess it can't be helped. They're all either talking in the hallway with their friends or preparing in their rooms anyway. Even if I did make an effort right now, it wouldn't make much of a difference. I should wait until after the ceremony is over before trying to socialise. Happy to put off the imminent social activity, I walk through the empty courtyard while feeling justified in my choice. It's not as if I don't want to make friends, just more interested in the academy itself right now. Once I've had a good look around, then I can worry about other people. The academy scentescapes didn't do Amdronia any justice at all. This place is nothing like the recordings I've seen. Not that I'm surprised by that. Generally, only 50th students are skilled enough to even record a scentscape, let alone a decent one, and they'd be too busy with their studies to make anything too elaborate. I should consider myself lucky to have experienced any scentscapes of the academy at all. Scentscapes, complete recording of the sights, smells, touch and taste of everything which the recorder experiences. Scentscapes are often thought of as the magical equivalent of virtual reality technology, cranked all the way up to a brand new extreme. Everything feels completely real. There's no discernible difference between running your hands along a stone wall in a scentscape and doing so in real life. Any experience in one is exactly the same as in the other. To the majority of individuals, there is only one noteworthy difference between experiencing reality and immersing yourself in a scentscape. Put simply, it's the lack of control. As nice as it is to be able to freely move around as I see fit, walking around for real is pretty tiring. Maybe I should head back earlier than planned. Besides, as interesting as it might be to wander around, I can't afford to fully relax when I know that time isn't on my side. I'll just take a proper look later, when I have nothing else to do. Resolving myself to put up future explanation till later, I turn towards the academy in order to return from where I came. The second I turn around, however, I notice someone blocking my path. Oh, hello there. You must have crept up on me, I didn't hear you at all. Mind your tongue, human, I did no such thing. I was simply curious as to where a newcomer such as yourself might be headed. I most assuredly was not creeping around. Okay then. I take a step back and look at the obstinate girl in front of me. Long silver hair, bright yellow eyes, and above all the characteristic ears of an elf. At a glance, it's obvious which race this girl belongs to. What is it? Do my ears truly fascinate you so? Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to stare. It's just I don't really know any demi-humans, so... I will forgive this transgression. However, I must warn you that others might not be so accommodating. If this is your first time living among other races, then you best be mindful of how you act around others. Yes, right. You're completely right. My apologies, miss. Even if I gave you my name, you would not remember it. You probably wouldn't even be able to pronounce it. Then, do you have a nickname? I have to call you something, after all. My non-elven acquaintances call me Lisha. Lisha, is it? That's a nice name. Of course it is. What were you expecting? Despite her harsh tones, Lisha appears to be embarrassed as she gives me her name. Defensive though she may be, it seems Lisha hasn't actually rejected my presence just yet. So, Lisha, are you a new student here too? Clearly I am. Were I in a different grade, I would be in class right now, rather than speaking to you. Not necessarily. I hear that once you reach your third year at this academy, you pretty much make your own schedule. Or you could just be a truant, though I guess a serious person like you wouldn't be skipping a class, would you? You assume that I am a serious person? Am I wrong? Not entirely. Be that as it may, you shouldn't judge others based on their appearance. especially if you aren't familiar with non-human races. You could get yourself into a lot of trouble by making assumptions about the students here. Oh, right. You did just say that I should be mindful about how I address others. I'll try to keep your words of wisdom in mind. Thinking about Leisha's warning for a moment, I turn my palm upwards. I bring my terminal up once more and search through the list of students in my class 1C. Let's see now, Alicia. I don't see. Hey, no sooner have I called it forth than my terminal disappears. Sticking her hand straight through my terminal, just like Ray before her, Alicia suddenly draws close. Not you two. Why does everyone... You are able to use a terminal? Alicia brings her face close to mine. Her expression is serious, yet there's a sense of unease and urgency in her tone of voice. Yes, that's right. I was just wondering if we're in the same class, so I was checking our year advisor's posts. Ordinarily, students need to wait until the opening ceremony to find out which class they've been placed in, and who their classmates will be. However, the fact is that the information they seek is actually made available ahead of time. It's simply inaccessible to most people. To view the listings, one must be either a teacher or a student attending the academy, and must be able to use a terminal. This means that early access to class listings, among other tidbits of information, has become kind of a reward for talented first-year students. Though for the most part, it's something that's simply taken advantage of by those with siblings or friends in higher grades. Oh, unbelievable! To think that a mere human would master the use of a terminal before me. No, I'm not a master or anything, I just... Human, what is your name? Sable. Sable Lebear. Lebear, Sable. Alicia averts her gaze for a moment as she loses herself in thought. After a few moments, Alicia's eyes open wide and she looks me in the eye once more. Impossible! You were ranked in the bottom half of this year's applicants. How could you possibly know an advanced spell already? I smile wryly and look away. Unfortunately, it's just as Alicia said, I ranked quite poorly on the entrance exam for the academy. Truthfully, our individual rankings aren't all that important. We're here to learn how to use our powers for the good of society, after all, not to compete for rankings. Be that as it may, our rankings do serve a purpose, and I take no pride in my poor performance on the exam. Had I ranked well, I would have started my life here with an increased allowance from the academy. I would also be given more leeway on assignments, preferential treatment from teachers, and other such perks. Ugh, elitist. As a lower-ranking student, however, not only will I miss out on such perks, but also no one will expect anything from me. Just hard work and determination, I guess. Terminal is an advanced spell, but isn't strenuous. Even someone as weak as me can... No, wait, forget about that for a second. How did you know what rank I am? You didn't seriously memorize the ranking of every student in our grade, did you? Does that surprise you? Listen, well, human, we elves possess many abilities which your kind does not. Unfaltering memory and a natural gift for magic are just the tip of the iceberg. You best not underestimate us. Nisha begins to zone out as she speaks. Her words slow down and she cuts herself off mid-sentence, losing herself in thought. No, it couldn't be. Did you purposely do poorly on the entrance exam so that people would underestimate you? What are you talking about? I tried really hard on the entrance exam, okay? I just hadn't studied the right material for the exam. And was completely destroyed by the physical portion of the exam. Ah, I understand now. You play the fool, but you are undoubtedly a truly frightful being. Are you talking about me? I'm not playing anything, and I've never frightened anyone in my life. Silence! You'll not fool me a second time. Curses, to think that I was so proud of myself for having been named valedictorian. How frustrating. For someone so gifted to be hiding among the rabble was an unforgivable oversight on my part. Oi! Who are you calling rabble? Alicia snorts and turns her head. So be it. I may have gotten ahead of myself, but I have not lost yet. I will not forget this, Sable a bit. Mark my words, I will surpass you. Leaving behind such a declaration, Alicia walks straight past me towards the entrance of the academy. For a moment I simply stare at her receding figure, trying to make sense of our bizarre meeting, but before I can think about it too deeply, I realise my time is up. The opening ceremony will begin any minute now, and I have no time to waste. I return to the academy's entrance and proceed inside. There are a few students around than when I entered before, and the hallways are eerily quiet as a result. Like myself, the only students still walking around are those heading towards the auditorium. Hey, where are you going? I'm not done talking to you. Except for one. How rude. Some people have no manners at all. I ought to grab them by a scruff of their neck and Uh-oh, here comes trouble. Don't make eye contact. Don't make eye contact. Huh? Oh, hey there. Damn it. I avert my gaze and keep walking. Well, I'd be lying if I said this person's appearance didn't immediately make me curious. I didn't have time to indulge myself right now. Dragon! Hey, you there. Yeah, you. What's the rush? Come here, talk to me for a minute. What's the rush? I'm on my way to the... Wait, internalizing that wouldn't do any good. I need to tell her out loud. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna get through here. The opening ceremony is... My finger's buzzing at me. Oh, someone's following. Great. Opening ceremony? Oh, right, that dumb thing. It's just a bunch of geezers and hags talking down to us, isn't it? Who would want to attend something like that? Ignoring her harsh words, I find myself staring at the horns on the head of the reptilian student standing in front of me. So I quickly glance at her wings and tail. Sweat begins to pour down my face. But not out of fear or nervousness. If anything, it's fear of my own obsession. This person has caught my interest. Are you a Drake? That's right. Drake and the Drake. Drac and the Drake. Drake and the Drake. Drake and the Drake. Drake and the Drake, they call me. My father wanted to call me Drake, but my mother said that would be redundant. You were almost Drake the Drake. I know, hilarious, right? But my parents compromised, so instead they call me Draken. Or at least I think that's the backstory Mama gave me. I know it was something along those lines. Anyway, forget about that, it doesn't matter. More importantly, do you like my wings? Confused by the seeming random shifting of our conversation, I stare at Draken in surprise for a moment before responding. I do, yes, why do you ask? Well, you keep staring at them, so I figured you might. Want to touch them? You let me? Sure, go right ahead! Before I even realise it, my hands are reaching towards the stranger in front of me. I hesitate the moment before making contact, unsure if indulging myself like this is really appropriate or not. Noticing my restraint, Draken moves her wings forward, shortening the distance between us all on her own. In response to Draken's gesture, I finally swallow the last of my reservations and press my fingers against her wing. This is amazing. The skin is tough, but also squishy. Every part I touch is so smooth. Are there bones in here? Not really. That part's mostly cartilage. I actually don't have many bones as a human, you know. I won't be able to fly otherwise due to the weight. So you really can fly with these? Of course, they aren't just for decoration, you know. But don't go asking for a lift, okay? I'm not strong enough to carry anyone else when I fly around in this form. I see. How about this part? The webbing looks thin, but it's surprisingly strong. Function over form, my friend. Strong and light, perfect for flying. They're a mongrel to clean, though, and it's pretty painful when they get cut. So they're not just fleshless appendages used to transport. Of course not. That's part of my body. Sheesh, you think I don't have feelings or stuff? Sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. I just let my curiosity get the best of me. It's okay, I understand. Besides, I'm the one that approached you in the first place. You're the first person who actually talked to me since I got here. Really? Yeah, everyone who sees me just walks away or runs in the opposite direction. It's like, what do you think I'm going to do? Eat you? Burn your village down? I mean, they might actually be right. It's not like I've ever eaten any other demi-humans before, and if I got hungry enough, I probably would take a bite out of them. But I'm trying to be on my best behaviour, you know? Set fire to anything all morning. The moment I begin to feel sorry for Draken, she gives me a good reason not to. While I don't doubt Lish's advice about not judging demi-humans based on their appearance, in Draken's case, I would have been right. Oh well, who needs people like those anyway? I'd much rather be talking to someone open-minded and understanding like you. Mama told me that most humans are scum, but I knew you weren't all bad. I mean, if you were, I never would have been born, you know? If all humans were bad, then Draken would never have been born? Draken's words repeat in my mind as an awkward question begins to surface. I want to ask Draken to elaborate, but at the same time I'm wary of offending her by making any further assumptions. Be that as it may, my hesitation only lasts for a moment. Before I know it, my curiosity is won and my mouth has begun to open. Just to be clear, Draken, your mother... 100% dragon. And your father? 100% human. Unbelievable. A human and a dragon actually mated with one another and produced an offspring? The proof wasn't standing right before my eyes at this very moment. I wouldn't believe it. My eyes suddenly shoot wide open as Draken's words bring to mind an old fairy tale I heard as a child. It's a lengthy tale in which a knight leaves his kingdom in order to slay an evil dragon. When the knight approaches the dragon's cage, however, he finds no such beast. Instead, what awaits him is a beautiful woman. To cut a long story short, the dragon agrees to spare his kingdom if he stays with her, serving as the father to her children. Quite frankly, I always found it to be a bizarre story to tell a child, especially a human child, living in a society so phobic of demi-humans. With a half-dragon now standing in front of me, however, I can't help but think that the tale might not be a work of fiction after all. Hello, are you still with me after... Wait, what did you say your name was again? I blink in surprise as Draken draws closer to my face. Finally snapping back to reality, I quickly take a step back and regain my composure. Sorry about that, I got a bit distracted there for a minute. Anyway, my name is Sable, and just like your father, I'm 100% human. Sable, huh? That name, it's short and easy to remember. So do you have any other questions, Sable? Whatever you want to know, just ask, I'm an open book. Draken smiles cheerfully as she makes that kind proposition. I mean, I'm a little bit in love with her because she's awesome. And has wings. And cool horns and hair and yeah. I don't think that's school uniform though, but I imagine the wings make it hard. For someone like me who's curious to a fault, her offer is like a dream come true. I can ask whatever I want of this rare being whose existence I would have doubted just an hour ago, and she'll gladly answer me. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to decline. Hey, don't you want to know more about me? I won't get offended or anything, I promise. It's not that. I do really want to ask. It's just the opening ceremony started without us. Draken stares at me in confusion for a second and sighs in relief. Is that all? Yeah, have you worried there for a second? I thought you didn't like me. If it's just the ceremony, don't worry about it. I'll be a drag anyway. That may be true, but we should still attend. What if they tell us something important? Just ask the other students what we missed. Besides, it's not like they just dump all the important stuff on us at once. Usually they'll have some sort of information day ahead of time or spread it out during our first week. That's how human schools work, right? That's true, but... I smile wryly as I come to understand a little bit more about this girl called Draken. You didn't get the letter either, huh? Huh? Letter? No one's dumb enough to deliver letters to Mama's cave. They see the human skeletons outside and run for the hills. Depends. If you could fold them away, probably could get quite comfy. Ah, I figures as much. It's kind of a relief that I'm not the only one that missed the orientation day. Though at the same time, it does reinforce my belief that a school like this shouldn't be relying on such a dated medium in the first place. So what do you want to do while the other students are sitting through the boring whatchamacallit? Sorry Draken, but I still think we should go inside. Even if we're late, the ceremony has only just started, so we should still be able to sit through most of it. Oh, I see. Fine, let's listen to the hags and geezers blather on about nothing while they slowly die. That's the spirit? Though clearly reluctant, Draken leads the way. She takes me to the door of the auditorium through which we can see our fellow newcomers. In addition to the students, we can see all our homeroom teachers, our year advisor, the principal and other faculty members. Our grade is fairly small compared to previous years. Without even turning my head, I can see the rest of the newcomers, not even 200 in numbers. A Nikomata, a Lamia, a Pixie. Boy, the entire room is filled with all sorts of demi-humans. Nobody as surprising as Draken, but it's still an impressive sight. Can't wait to see them all up close. Ka-chick. Huh? Ka-chick, ka-chick. What's wrong? Change your mind? No, it's not that, but ka-chick, ka-chick. We've been locked out. I stare at the door handle in disbelief. Locked out. We're just a few minutes late and they've already locked the door on us. This isn't good. Huh? How dare they? Step away from the door and look at Draken in surprise. What are you getting mad about, Draken? You didn't even want to attend the ceremony, did you? Of course I didn't want to, but that isn't being the same as being told I can't attend. Why are you locking me out like this? I'll show them. Draken... Oh god, there's gonna be... Fire! Draken puffs out her chest as she slowly inhales. I can see a bright light emanating from within Draken's chest as she purses her lips, preparing to spew forth flames of an unfathomable temperature. Draken, stop. You can't start a fire inside the academy. I mean, literally the ceiling's on fire, so yeah. Let's just skip the ceremony after all, okay? My words fall on deaf ears. Draken's chest continues to expand and I can see the rage in her eyes. Hi, Fuzzy! Yes. Set fire to all the shit. I have the yawns. If I dawdle, she's going to burn me to ashes along with the door. Before I can get burned to death or blamed for damaging Academy property, I run down the hallway as quick as I can. Behind me I can hear panic and the sound of the fire alarm going off, but I pay it no mind and continue to run. That crazy bastard, she really did it. But how was she thinking? I quickly open up my terminal and search the name of the students in my class. After trying a few different possible spellings of her name, I sigh in relief, certain that Draken is not in my class. I mean, why not just get the list? Romance? This is school. We're just doing an hour, which we have 12 and a bit minutes left of. So, no. There's gonna be no romance. We're just doing the beginning. It's basically a short promo, not a legit, we're gonna do the whole story. Oh, iPad Twitch. Yeah, low latency my ass. I know, right? I miss Mixer for that. Yeah. I mean, no romance is my life, but hey. No, we're not romancing anyone. But we are introducing ourselves to the Academy. Phew. Thank goodness for that. Draken may not be a bad person, but she's definitely trouble. Being her no class would be too much. Giving myself a moment to calm down, I take a quick look at the names of the students who are actually in my class. While I don't recognise any of them, I'm not disappointed by this fact. After all, the only people I know at this school are the few who I met earlier today. It would be a bigger surprise if one of them was in my class. Wait a second, I may have spoken too soon. Leili Shahashia. Crap, Alicia was right, there's no way I can pronounce her name. Just as I'm dismissing my terminal, one name catches my eye. Although I don't have any proof that the girl with the difficult to pronounce name in my class is Leisha, I am fairly confident in my guess. Oh well, it's better than entering the class without knowing anyone, I suppose. With my terminal no longer visible, I decide to take a better look at my surroundings. While running, I paid little attention to my destination, I just wanted to get away from Draken before I could get caught up in her mess. But now that I'm taking a good look around, it's pretty clear where I round up. The cafeteria, huh? Come to think of it, Ray said she was going to eat here earlier. I wonder if she had any luck getting served. I take a quick look around the cafeteria. Despite the fact that this is an academy devoted to the study of magic, there doesn't appear to be any difference in the decor or in the atmosphere. It seems that eateries are the same no matter where you go. How disappointing. I was at least hoping to see serving dishes made out of mithril or holographic projections of each dish. Maybe the kitchen is where the magic happens. I might not be particularly good at using magic to cook, but it is a fairly common practice. Incendiary spells used to heat ingredients, water created out of thin air, artificial breeze to cool dishes off, displacement spells to rotate hot masses of meat or to move ingredients in dishes without ever touching them. Suffice to say, mixing the arts of magic and cooking has yielded very intriguing, worthwhile results. When using magic, cooking becomes faster, easier and cheaper. It's also much less troublesome when it comes time to clean up afterwards. Best of all, it provides students with a straightforward means by which to practice spellcasting, and it offers immediate, tangible results. For students at any magic academy, using magic to assist with the process of cooking is a no-brainer. It's time for me to learn how to cook as well, now that I don't have my parents around to feed me. It's bound to be a useful talent. Or I could just visit the cafeteria. That has to be easier than travelling to the city and buying a bunch of ingredients for personal consumption, never mind actually cooking them. Struggling off my new responsibilities as soon as they come to mind, I walk closer to the counter and look at the menu, curious to see what a cafeteria catering for different species might contain. At a glance, most of the dishes don't seem to be anything special. Salads, sandwiches, noodles, the usual stuff you'd see at any cafeteria. Towards the bottom of the menu, however, live frogs, gnats, platypus eggs, holy water, unholy water, white rhinoceros meat? We have white rhinoceros meat here? How did I miss that? Showing my surprise, Ray suddenly appears beside me, so she didn't make it to the ceremony either. Hey, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be in the auditorium. Don't tell me you've been eating this whole time. Rude. I did go to the auditorium just like I was supposed to. The door was locked, so I came back here. Ah, I see. Me too, actually. By the time I arrived, they'd already started. Oh, well, I guess it just wasn't meant to be. Yes, legal and ethical for thee, definitely. I was thinking maybe it was code for human. More importantly, come over here. I want to show you something. Show me something in the cafeteria? Given our current location, the first thing that comes to mind is obviously food. Considering all the peculiar dishes being sold here, I wouldn't be surprised to find she's ordered something unspeakable or whipped up something of her own. By the time Ray stopped walking, however, I realised that what she wants to show me isn't anything edible. Or at least, I don't think it's edible. Ray, he's looking right at me. You need a space. And also I think it needs to be the first word. Help! In a soft voice, the being in front of me speaks. It turns away and reaches out for Ray, who laughs and stands next to it. There's nothing to be afraid of. This is Sable, the human I was telling you about earlier. Sable? You remember? The person who can use a terminal. Oh. The green creature peeks at me from behind Ray. Still shaking, it slowly musters the courage required to speak to me, despite its fear. Hello. Hi. I am Eth. But pleased to meet you. With panic in its voice, the creature calling itself Eth bows its head. I'm pleased to meet you too, Eth. My name is Sable Lebir. I hope we get along. Mm-hmm. No, the command needs to be the first thing in the sentence. Eth bows its head while moving further away from me. Eth? Don't worry about Eth, she's just a bit shy. It's because she's a mandragora. Eth is a girl? No, more importantly, Eth is a mandragora? Well, Ray herself doesn't seem to quite understand her own hypothesis. She might actually be correct. Mandragoras have been unintentionally slaughtered by humans for eons. We have decimated their homes in the names of progress and killed them in large numbers while mistaking them for plant life. It's no surprise that Eth is wary around humans, particularly strangers like myself. Mandragora, huh? I really am meeting all kinds of demi-humans today. I have to be careful about meeting up with Draken while Eth is around. That seems like a disaster waiting to happen. Towards Eth, who still appears to be nervous, I extend my hand. You don't need to be afraid of me, Eth. I won't harm you. And if anyone does try to hurt you, let me know. I'll make them regret it. I may be weak, but I do have some rather nasty tricks up my sleeve. Like minutely altering the path of someone's internal ether flow to press against their bowel for existence, or lowering the amount of oxygen in the air around them until they pass out. Eth looks at my hand timidly, then up at my face. Though clearly scared, she hesitantly extends one of her hands towards me. Thank you. And me too. You too? If anyone bullies Sable, I'll poison them. This is a great idea! No, that's not a great idea. Hey Eth, do you think you can make some poison for me? I want to put some in a squirt gun in case one of my admirers tries something funny. Oh, I mean, yes. Stream appropriateness of most, visual novels is dubious. But the ones that come onto Xbox, I feel like are probably least okay. Because there's a more thorough screening process. Though having said that, I did turn the mature setting on, so I don't know what that means, but I doubt we'll find out in the next 3.5 minutes. Sure, no problem. That is a problem. Though I am dubious about whether these admirers actually exist or not. This is our first day on campus. There's no way you could have an admirer already. It's not true. A hot guy was totally hitting on me earlier. Was he, Eve? What, seriously? Hey, why do you trust her more than you trust me? Because it's not Eve's pride that gets hurt if you're lying. Anyway, what kind of guy was it? Were they a demi-human? Maybe they just wanted to feast on you. Come on, is it really that difficult for you to... Oh, wait a second, I get it. Playful smirk appears on Ray's face. You're jealous, aren't you? Come again? That's it, isn't it? Oh gosh, it's only my first day at Amadromia Academy, and there are two guys showing interest in me. What should I do, Eve? I'm not ready for this. Copulate with a stronger male. A powerful partner will lead to better offspring. That is a good point. Well, you heard of Sable, so I guess you'll just have to fight for my love. I am not fighting anyone. I stare at the two girls amusedly. At this point, I can't tell if they're joking or not. Anyway, just who is this guy that's supposedly interested in you, Ray? It isn't one of the teachers, is it? Of course not. Don't even joke about that. This boy's the same age as us. He's blonde, human, and totally good looking. Really? That's kind of disappointing. Couldn't you have dreamed up someone more interesting? Didn't dream him up. He's definitely real. Oh, but maybe he isn't. Ugh, come on, Ray. Should be okay. I mean, I definitely spoke to him, but it's like it wasn't really him, you know. I have no idea what you're talking about. Ray, did you inhale the spores on my back? What do you think? Are you sure about... Wait, what was that about spores? I think back over what little I know about mandragoras. Although I'm admittedly no expert, I don't recall reading anything about hallucinogenic spores being found on mandragoras. Was Seth making a joke? Or is this mandragoras keep to themselves in order to avoid being hunted for a different reason? Jeez, you two, is it really so hard to believe that a hot guy would hit on me? On your first day in the cafeteria? Yeah, I'm afraid that does seem rather implausible. I mean, impulsive too, but... Besides, Ray, if you aren't really sure he exists, how are we supposed to believe in him? That's a fair point. We should confirm that he exists first. Ray goes silent for a moment as she contemplates her next course of action. After a few moments, Ray nods once and then allows a wide smile to spread across her face. Alright, let's go to the opening ceremony and prove that I'm not crazy. Door's locked, remember? I'll figure something out. Ignoring my advice, Ray storms off, heading towards the auditorium. What do you think, Eve? Should we go? I'll go if you carry me. You want me to carry you? I cast a glance towards Eve's legs. Honestly, I'm not sure what to make of what I see. They're clearly unlike human legs, but she has moved in my presence, so it's not... Oh, she can't walk. Is it difficult for her to move with those trunks? Sable, carry me. Alright. But just so you know, I'm not particularly strong or anything. I figured as much. Cheeky little... Who's the human-furring girl I met just a moment ago? Carrying Eve bridal style, I slowly make my way back up. Bloody hell, the timer always makes me jump. Let's see if we get some sort of opening ceremony type thing. Give it like 5 more minutes, and then we'll switch over. Carrying Eve's bridal style, I slowly make my way back to the hallway leading to the auditorium. It's surprisingly heavy. While carrying her, the best I'm able to do is shuffle my feet. As such, we progress at a speed undoubtedly slower than we would if she simply walked by herself. Maybe I should use some muscle reinforcement magic. Is it a cat? I was too scared of the side effects to spend much time practicing it, but right now it will really come in handy. Muscle reinforcement magic. A group of spells focused on using ether to officially engorge and strengthen a person's body. The use for such magic is obvious. It makes a person, even a weakling such as myself, exponentially more powerful. Despite my body structure, I could easily lift a car with one hand while using the muscle reinforcement magic. And for someone who's already strong, the effect would be many times greater. The only problem with this very practical, useful field of magic is that it risks damaging the user's body. While the user's muscles are enhanced, they typically focus only on a single group of muscles and they don't reinforce their bones at all. Ow! In other words, only one part of their body is enhanced, leaving the rest completely vulnerable. If the user goes too far or uses such magic too often, they're likely to break their own bones and to strain the muscles that aren't being enhanced. It is possible to use muscle reinforcement magic safely, but considering the risks involved, I never spent too much time studying. Even if it's safe enough in small doses, I'd rather not put my own body on the line. Sable, we're here. Put me down. Oh, right, sorry. Pulling myself out of my own thoughts, I put Eth down in front of the door leading to the auditorium. Eth shuffles up to the door and peers inside. She stands next to Ray, who is still scanning the students within looking for her alleged suitor. Unlike the two of them, I have little interest in what's going on inside. While they're inspecting the students, my eyes remain fixed on the door itself and the lack of destruction surrounding it. Wow, they repaired the door already? As expected of an elite academy like this, I suppose, all of the teachers are probably well versed in restoration magic. While most people believe restoration magic to be synonymous with healing magic, they're sorely mistaken. Healing magic involves speeding up the natural healing process of a person's body. You increase their white blood cell count, ease their blood flow, and perform other temporary modifications to the recipient's body. Magic is used to expedite the healing process, but it's ultimately the recipient's body which does the work. Restoration magic, on the other hand, literally turns back time for an object. It returns something to the state it was at an early point in time, exactly as it once was. Despite the endless possibilities that restoration magic appears to possess, however, it's far from more powerful. There are strict limitations on what can be reverted and from how long ago. The fact that this door and its surroundings were mended perfectly means the teachers must have repaired it very quickly, and the Draken didn't completely incinerate the door. I don't see him anywhere. Maybe he's in a grade above us. Ray moves away from the door as she fails to locate her suitor. Either that or you're ready to make him up. You might be right. Or he's been locked out. Right. Yeah, that's it. Stupid Sable. Of course that's it. You think yet another person missed the ceremony. Well, I mean, 4 of you did, so why not 5? We all did. Yeah, stupid Sable. I suppress my urge to slap Ray. Whatever. Until you show me concrete evidence, I'm going with the theory that this person is make-believe. Did you at least get this guy's name? I think it was Hal. Hal, huh? I stare at Ray skeptically. Yeah, that's it, definitely. Probably. Definitely, probably. Probably. Definitely not. Anyway, enough of this. Are we going to try and get inside or not? In response to my perfectly reasonable question, Eth and Ray both stare at me bemusedly. Don't wanna. Yeah, I'd rather not. It's always a drag to jump in halfway through something like this. Not to mention we get scolded by the teachers for sure. Better off just waiting for them to finish. Driven by a sudden suspicion, I summon my terminal and look at the rankings for the entrance exam. Starting at the top, where Alicia's full name is firmly planted, I scroll right down to the bottom. Sure enough, Ray and Eth are both ranked in the bottom 10 places of our grade. Wow, Alicia really is the valedictorian, and it looked like Draken managed to somehow get a good rank too. She acted pretty whimsical earlier, but I guess she's much more knowledgeable and powerful than her personality would suggest, being a dragon and all. As for these two, however, given a total of 189 students, they're ranked among the worst. The only students below Ray scored a 0, meaning they likely didn't show up for the exam at all. I guess Ray was screwed over by the lack of any healing magic tests in the exam. She'll probably do better once classes actually begin. Ether's a surprise though. Was she too nervous being around so many complete strangers? I close my terminal and address the two dunces once more. Fine, we'll wait them out, but don't complain to me if I miss something important. Sure, whatever you say. Understood. 2 girls torn towards the cafeteria, paying no further mind to the ceremony we're supposed to be a part of. Ray starts walking in lengthy strides, and Eth swivels her torso towards me, stretching her arms out wide. I sigh in resignation and pick her up, risking a hernia once more as I carry her back to the cafeteria. I feel like that's a good place to stop. Apparently, I've done some stuff already. Stuff which involves a dragon. Interesting. Yeah. So the ones that aren't marked off are the ones I'm missing achievement-wise, I think. These look a little romancy. But yes, so Why does that look like... Ray, that's not how necks work. Why does that look like she's actually some kind of magical creature? I mean, that is pretty damn cool. Fairy. Okay, we have that. Yeah. We have some fairies. Oh, that looks pretty cool. I have played it. Not really. I have skipped through stuff, so I have no idea what is going on with this and why her neck does that. She's supposed to be human. Dragon Lady does have abs for days. So I have no idea what's going on. Elfie has a golem. I imagine that's the dark elf. Oh, we can be friends. So yeah, I don't actually know what... Oh! I wonder if that's Draken. So yeah, I've got some of the CCGs. How does she do that with her neck? I feel like maybe I kind of want to come back to this, because now I'm curious. That's a bit kinky. It's a bit Gulliver's Travels. Yes, the fairies are a little bit naked. So yeah, so what I wanted to do was put up a cool CG for like the end. Let's put that up one just while I finish off. Because then I'm going to switch over games, so I have to stop recording. So I wanted a nice end screen. So I'm going to switch over to Omno in a moment. This was Sable's Grimoire. Thank you again, as I said, to unedited Xbox for the code for streaming this. I am curious, but I feel like with 400,000 words, this is not going to be something I can finish in, like... I didn't even finish the first chapter. Yeah, I am curious. I kind of want to play the story without skipping it, but also I do need to do a little bit of skipping to get the achievements I need. But maybe we'll leave it in the list and come back to it. I do say that quite a lot, but if it's in the list, then hey, there's a chance. Even if I finish the achievements. So thank you for watching this game. I'm just going to pause and then switch over and I'll be right back.